And Rodney Wallace so shows he's having nothing of it, landing an early combination.
Good nod there from Kalib Starnes that says, okay, fight on, here we go. This is our co-main event of the evening, two former UFC fighters. And this one, again, tough to call. And again, there's that big kick that we were talking about Kalib Starnes has, and he throws them from both sides, and they are damaging, Ryan.
Big right hand just misses from Starnes. Wallace trying to drive through. I asked Wallace exactly what he figured he would do to beat Starnes. Said take him to the ground, pound him out. So he's halfway there, he's got him on the ground. Let's see if he can follow through. Starnes doing an effective job so far of just holding on to the arms of Rodney Wallace, preventing that from coming in.
Starnes being a very long fighter, it's awkward for the shorter Rodney Wallace to be able to kind of work, because he can just, Starnes could just use those arms to be able to hold him down and hold those arms from doing any damage. But Rodney Wallace, a wily veteran, so he'll be able to find his way to get in and land some damage. Kalib Starnes looks very calm on the ground though, Ryan.
Yeah, the interesting thing, I mean, you talk about the 205 being spread over the 6'3" of Kalib Starnes, which makes it harder for Rodney Wallace to find an opening. At the same time, you've also got 205 pounds in a 5'9" package. So as a result, a lot more weight down on the body of Starnes when Rodney Wallace does lay on him. It's a lot more weight in a smaller package, which means that the upper body is going to be heavier than it may have been against a taller opponent.
The light heavyweight division amongst the most stacked divisions here in the Hard Knocks Fighting Championship. You saw earlier Anton Tokarczuk defeating Josh Hines. That's a big shot from Rodney Wallace. Throw in again Todd Stout, the Black Hulk, who's on a bit of a fight win streak himself. So it's going to be interesting to see who replaces Misha Serkinov, who left for the UFC. Both these guys are wanting to fill that role.
Rodney Wallace, so far since the takedown, had landed a couple good shots. A methodical pace on top from Rodney Wallace. Really just trying to find an opening here and get in and do the damage he needs to do. Again, the game plan was take him down and ground him and pound him out. And so far so good for Rodney Wallace here in the first round.
Wallace, a little bit of blood coming out of his nose.
Drops an elbow there. Again, like you mentioned, having to fight around the limbs of Kalib Starnes being very difficult here. Again, continuing to work from the top. Rodney Wallace, a very effective fighter once the fight gets down to the ground. Jeremy, we saw this in some of his earlier fights where he was just able to dominate on the ground.
Well, in the fight against Clay Davidson, he took Clay Davidson down after a big shot, and then once he was down, he kept him down and basically rode him for 3 rounds. But now back to standing. We'll see if Kalib Starnes can get back to using those leg kicks, that length, to be able to keep Rodney Wallace at bay.
Yeah, Andy Social standing him up. Again, a nice combination there. And Starnes calling him on, saying he wants more. Again, no shortage in the toughness of Kalib Starnes. Again, fight of the night winner at UFC 77 against Chris Lieben. And you know how Chris Lieben fights. And so if you're going to get fight of the night with him, that means you went toe-to-toe for 15 minutes.
Well, and Kalib Starnes trying to erase the memory of that fight with Nate Quarry when he left the UFC, and it was after Starnes broke his foot very badly and wasn't able really to fight, but instead of tapping out, he tried to stay, tried to get in it, and a bit of a show was made out of it, and he took a lot of heat that way. But he's a very tough fighter, and I'm sure that if he hadn't broken his hand, that we might still be seeing Kalib Starnes in the UFC. Sorry, broken his foot, pardon. Ooh, that was low.
Yeah, that's pretty much as directly low as you can get. And Rodney nodding, knowing that it wasn't an intentional blow there. But now a high kick thrown from Kalib.
We talked about the kicks of Kalib Starnes being dangerous, and that's just one more way that they are dangerous.
Starnes coming in, hands low. Gets a right hand for his trouble. Wallace doing a very good job, Jeremy, of keeping Starnes at bay here in the early parts of round 1. Getting ready for a second round action between Rodney Wallace and Kalib Starnes here at Hard Knocks 44 in Calgary, Canada. And we are back underway here. A good first round from Rodney Wallace. Starnes coming out big leg kick to open round two.
I told you, he throws those both sides, so he doesn't need to switch. So whatever foot is forward that he wants to land with, he can do it. So good work, and that's another leg kick inside. And now Wallace in on the leg, and good work by Starnes to avoid the takedown. There's a nice left hand from Wallace, and another one.
Rodney Wallace, after the third leg kick, tapped his chest as if to say, bring it on. And now maybe some trouble here from Wallace. He's got to get that other arm in. Starnes could work a submission here. Starnes, a second-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Good work by Wallace, immediately recognizing the danger and firing in that hand to be able to take away the pressure off that armbar.
So ground and pound, very effective for Rodney Wallace in round one. Again, Starnes very dangerous on the ground. You can see there the ad for the app in the bottom corner. Make sure you get out and download that for both Apple and Android devices. Lots of behind the scenes looks at our fighters. Rodney Wallace continuing to work from the top here again. Not necessarily the most damaging strikes, but nevertheless counting. Showing the judges he's busy, and that one a nice right hand coming in on Kalib Starnes.
Some strikes in the corner, and you hear Kalib Starnes talking to his coach. Ryan, again, got an opportunity to meet both of these guys at their home gym. And Rodney Wallace, again, with the pressure down, landing those short elbows, putting the pressure down. And Kalib talking to Rodney Wallace, so I don't know how this is going to affect Rodney Wallace's game. Again, lots of fights between these two, but Kalib saying, hey, you ain't got nothing on the ground.
Yeah, it's that psychological game, right? I mean, but nevertheless, Rodney's got to know that he's on top. He's landing damage. He's doing everything he can to continue to score points. He likely won round one, and if this continues for another couple minutes, he'll probably pull down a round two.
And it looks like just Kalib Starnes, although Rodney Wallace posturing up now, so a bit of a dangerous position, but it looks like Starnes just looking up at official Adam Cheadle saying, okay, I've stymied this guy, let's get him back up.
And that happened in the first round as well. But again, as time continues to tick down, and there we go, there's a stoppage. The fans appreciate the return to standing. Always more exciting to see a knockout. Starnes did predict that one of the two of them would be knocked out in the first two rounds. So respecting the striking power of Rodney Wallace. And again, both of them kind of chirping the other one. Every time a strike comes in, a word or two goes back the other way.
These kicks are coming in, and they might be doing a little bit more damage than Rodney Wallace is letting on. But so far, Rodney Wallace with a couple takedowns. He's got the good strikes. It seems, again, that psychological aspect, when Rodney Wallace lands a punch, Kalib smiles and nods. So,
yeah, both of these guys, again, very experienced and very good at martial arts. Good, not exactly the word I was looking for. Excellent.
Good push here. That's a nice back elbow from Kalib Starnes. Caught Rodney Wallace with his head out, and the back elbow might have made Rodney Wallace a little more shy about his position, but he's got the back right now of Kalib Starnes. And if they go to the ground like that, it's a dangerous position for Starnes, but Starnes very strong here up against the cage. And Rodney Wallace content to just grind Kalib Starnes out.
Yeah, some big knees there from Rodney Wallace up against the cage. Kalib disagrees with me. He's got some discussion disputing my call of the action up here against the cage.
Those elbows are keeping Rodney Wallace at bay. Again, if Rodney Wallace would like to come to the front and put the pressure on, but those elbows are making him think. And again, Kalib Starnes has to get to work here. He does split the grip. Now Rodney Wallace in on the leg attack. Good defense so far from Kalib Starnes. Good sprawl back using the cage. And now a very tight standing guillotine. Rodney Wallace could be in trouble, although there is a lot of sweat in there.
Yeah, the second arm never quite got around to lock it in, had the one arm under the chin, couldn't secure the grip. Some big shots to the midsection there of Rodney Wallace.
Kalib Starnes keeps coming forward, even though he's been eating some pretty big shots. But Kalib Starnes, again, we'll see how he goes in the third round. This fighter, very exciting, this fight in general.
Yeah, 10 minutes of great action between these two former UFC fighters. And here in the Hard Knocks cage and putting it together in the first 2 rounds was Rodney Wallace. We'll see what Kalib Starnes brings as an answer in the third and deciding round.
Trying to keep it at range is Starnes. Rodney Wallace, again, Starnes so long, he's got to find a way to get inside.
Well, and we talked about this earlier tonight when Josh Hines fought Anton Tokarczuk. Rodney Wallace brought it up too. He said that he's so much shorter than Starnes. Starnes got to adjust his striking to punch down. Okay, so we've got another timeout here. Looks like an unintentional scratch of the eye. Kalib is in, we're gonna see the doctor again. Oh yeah, there's a big cut under the eye. And,
obviously not intentional. And looking at the nails of Rodney Wallace, they don't look to be extra long, so might have just been a...
So they're gonna take a look at the eyeball. Rodney pacing back and forth, having a discussion with the referee.
So just to give you a scope for those of you who don't necessarily know who these fighters, you know, who they fought. Rodney Wallace, who's pictured right there, fought Brian Stann, fought Phil Davis. Phil Davis currently a top 5 fighter in his weight division. Kalib Starnes has fought Chris Lieben. He's fought Yushin Okami. He's fought Alan Belcher. Like, come on, these guys are top level guys.
Yeah.
And again, I think Kalib Starnes looks very upset at this moment. So we'll see how it changes his style of fighting.
Yeah, and
here.
you can see the blood coming down from the eye now of Kalib Starnes. And again, said a scratch of the eye, and you can see Rodney pawing that jab out there, trying to connect with that spot. Starnes in some distress there. Wallace trying to find an opening. 3:45 to go. Starnes answers.
Big punch from Starnes, landed low.
Again, Wallace bouncing around the outside now, Jeremy, knowing that he's likely ahead 2-0 and knowing he needs to get to the end of this fight to secure a victory.
Well, and Kalib Starnes stalking Rodney Wallace, trying to get him up against the cage so that he can't use that mobility that he has. But Kalib Starnes is having difficulty because Rodney Wallace, as soon as he starts to feel the pressure, that cage presence, that cage on his back, he circles away and tries to get away from that hand.
Yeah, and again, that's that veteran experience coming into play from both fighters. Again, trying the technique as well as recognizing it and being able to try and avoid it.
Nice snap jab from Rodney Wallace.
Starnes looking for that knockout punch. Starnes move forward. You can hear the other side, Rodney Wallace's coach saying, I don't like you being hunted, go out and hunt. And we'll see if Rodney Wallace follows that instruction here with 2.5 to go in our third round. Starnes and Wallace. Again, a nice combination there from Wallace. He's finding holes, Jeremy, and not ending the fight with these punches, certainly, but also scoring points in the eyes of the judges.
You know, the double unders is Kalib Starnes, and that's a nice takedown for Starnes. He now has 2 minutes to work from this top position and immediately works to mount. Good work by Rodney Wallace to get it back to half guard. But Kalib Starnes has 2 minutes, and so far, like you said, Ryan, Rodney Wallace probably up 2-0. So Kalib Starnes has to find a way to finish this fight. Rodney Wallace, very difficult to finish, however.
Yeah, difficult to finish, but in a ground position. Again, a second-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Kalib Starnes can find a submission, and he's got a lot of time to work here in the half guard. I mean, could be ground and pound for it, going over and chatting with his coach and having a discussion. Nice elbows there to the side of the head of Rodney Wallace. Kalib Starnes trying to find an opening here, knowing that he's got about 1:15 to go before this fight will be a decision victory the other way, and he's going to have to finish.
Nice hammer fist there from Kalib. Kalib Starnes again, probably trailing 2-0.
And now Wallace transitioning into the guard. Again, still going. Wallace trying to find room from the bottom. Starnes with 45 seconds left, Jeremy. He's going to have to find something here quickly if he wants to win this fight. You can hear his coach calling for him to let the hands go and try and finish this fight. Starnes in trouble here, falling to a decision loss with just 30 seconds to go.
Rodney Wallace doing an excellent job of controlling the wrists of Kalib Starnes. Wouldn't surprise me if Kalib Starnes is happy. Hey, I don't think Kalib Starnes is upset that this is back standing now. I think this is his best chance to win with 10 seconds to go.
Yeah, and he's going to have to throw hard and fast with just 10 seconds to go here in the third and final round. Trying to find a hole. Wallace dancing away, landing a jab, calling for it. What a fight. These two guys earned every penny of their money tonight.